All right, first of all, I want to go into a practical example. So right now I'm feeling quite dysregulated. I don't feel comfortable speaking in front of a camera, pressing play. I have a really built up anxiety, especially when I know that I'm going to be speaking in front of it. So first of all, we're going to kind of go through the energies of the soul of the class to help me kind of regulate myself and go from there. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to be kind of like labeling the things that I'm feeling in the present moment. So first of all, I do feel like a tightness of chest, tightness in my chest. My voice is kind of stuttered, right? And then also I can tell that my breathing is quite shallow, right? There's also some kind of other feelings. And if you want to kind of talk about those or continue kind of labeling those, kind of quantifying what you're experiencing right now. See, I think that's what happens when like the purpose of this class is to recognize yourself within the experience, right? And when you realize like, oh, maybe this is happening to you, right? Your body's tightening, your breath is this, and you're feeling these things. When you feel that, when you feel like almost this is happening to you, like there is a subject and then there's an object, that's where like this class kind of finds its wiggle room. We find in that separation where there's a me experiencing these, like that's why we quantify things in the present moment, right? That's kind of gets our mind on board to almost kind of try to separate from the tightness and the feelings that we have. So the second thing I'm going to be doing, and I have been doing actually throughout this video, is where I try to just improve the quality of my breath, right, in deeper spaces. And what you can do is actually, while you're experiencing, and I'm doing it even in this video while I'm talking, I am trying to improve the quality of my breath. Slow down my thinking, right? Because a lot of times our mind is going to be like having these thoughts of maybe trying to figure out why I have anxiety, right? Why this is happening. There's a part of my brain that wants to know why, right? And so when I start to focus on other things, why my brain's going, this is like also helpful in determining when you're in the mind, right? And then we need to get in the body because the mind's going to go and go and go. The mind won't stop, right? We need to consciously direct our attention while the mind's going. That will take care of its place in time, right? We'll kind of devalue our thoughts that we don't want to put any energy into, positive or negative, right? We just wanted to let them flow through. And so present moment, breath. I'm bringing the breath into the spaces where I do feel tightness. So I'm focused on the physical aspect of my body, what I feel physically, not necessarily mentally, because if I continue to go mentally of trying to figure out what I'm feeling or why I'm doing it, oh, maybe I'm afraid of what you're going to think of me, or I'm afraid of whatever you're afraid of. The mind is going to continue to search for something, right? While it's doing that, we want to reconnect with the body, reconnect with the breath, right? We want to continue feeling safe within ourselves. That's when we ground ourselves down, right? That's when we feel our energy kind of starting to flow. I can already feel it already myself. I feel a little bit more regulated. I feel a little bit more connected. I can feel the earth through my feet, right? We want to touch our fingers. That movie, Inside Out, in the second one, one of the things that I liked in that movie is that when anxiety is going crazy, right? She starts to connect to her physical body, right? In the present moment, she starts to feel the sensations of her fingers rubbing together, right? She's moving out of the mind and down into the physical body. Those are kind of the steps that we want to take. And I notice is that in all of that, right, when all of these things are happening, all of these things I'm feeling, my breath is going crazy, there's a commonality, right? That's what I mean by finding ourselves. There's a commonality within, and it's me experiencing all of those things, right? Because like I can really, really tap into the anxiety of my belly. I can really tap into the anxiety that I'm feeling in my heart and my throat, maybe in my frontal lobe, in my mind, like, you know, the places where I'm holding tension. But I can also feel them all, and I can pinpoint which one I feel, right? So there's like this back and forth, like this is 0 to 100 intensity that takes over our awareness, right? That's when, like in the consciousness chapter, we talk about this finger cut, where we go into what it's feeling, right? We associate into that environment. We associate into that consciousness that is the loudest, right? The thing that is drawing most of our attention. And so when we find ourselves within that, where the body starts to respond, like for example to the cut, where they start to kind of numb the cells that are experiencing that separation, then our awareness is able to kind of move more easily to the next thing, and we can direct that awareness, right? That's the soul we're getting onto, right? The one that experiences, we can direct where our awareness is, right? We can be feeling something, we can be feeling anxiety, but choose to connect to our physical body, choose to connect to the present moment, to our breath, to honestly any of these energies that we talk about in this course. When you do that, that's when we find separation. And maybe this course is kind of your first introduction into that separation. Well, welcome, and I'm excited you're here. But play with that. Just understand that's what's happening, right? You will begin to start to really recognize who you are within all of that, within your thoughts, within your awareness, within the things that go on inside your mind, the things that you can't quantify, the feelings that you can't find words for. You will notice that you are the one experiencing all of it. That will be the commonality. You will begin to associate more to the one who experiences rather than the experiences that you have been having, right? That's the permanence. That's the one we end up finding within ourselves that allow us to ground ourselves into the present moment, into maybe our truth or whatever we're seeking to ground ourselves from that panic attack or rumination. Whatever it is, you can use the same kind of method as I described here. For me, it helps me actually to talk and say these things out loud. It gives them voice. It gives those parts of me a voice, but it also helps me quantify, like, oh, I am the one experiencing this, like, and maybe it's just an automatic response that I have learned in the past, and now that there is separation between me and behavior, or me and whatever it is, now there's understanding. Now there is a clear path, because I have separated from the intensity of the emotion. I have separated from the intensity of the energy and grounded myself into who I am. And now I can see it from a systems point of view, right? I can see that there's a system. There is even me a part of the system, but when I'm separated, I can actually see myself. That's what I think the movie theater one is honestly the one I use the most, because you see yourself within it, right? I think that's what really self awareness is that being able to separate, but also recognizing that is you as well. So you are also with it, and you're also able to separate from it. That's what the observer is. You can always separate yourself from the experience, separate yourself from the energy. I think that we can find safety in that. And so, yes, thank you for joining me. It was a little bit long-winded, but I hope all of that was very helpful information, and will help you kind of move through the steps and use these energies as different building blocks to help you understand. But that's why we talk about the first six. The first six, I use those interchangeably with almost every experience that I find overwhelming or energy that I am trying to separate from on the daily. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.